Welcome to the April 2021 Star Wars Canon Update. This past month we got a new book and 5 new comic issues, so let's dive in. The new novel was Thrawn Ascendancy, Greater Good by Timothy Zahn. It came out this week, so I'm not going to get into spoilers. I'll put my full review in the cards, but in short, I didn't like this one nearly as much as the previous entry, Chaos Rising. It leaned a little too far into the science fiction side of things for my taste. I tend to prefer my Star Wars to lean more fantasy, but I know plenty of people that love a more sci-fi Star Wars story, and I have a feeling they'll enjoy this one. I did like what the book had to say about the titular greater good of any given society, but the characters weren't really landing for me this time around. I know that's not a glowing recommendation by any means, but if it sounds like it lines up with your tastes, check it out for free on Audible by clicking on the link in the description or by visiting www.audibletrial.com/StarWarsExplained. Moving into comics, let's start with The High Republic 4. The third issue felt like it was treading water a bit, taking time to introduce people who hadn't read the books to the Drengir. This issue was back to giving us some new, very exciting information. First of all, a Drengir has made it onto Starlight Beacon, Xenomorph style. It infested a Hutt corpse and then burst out of it, now ready to run amok. I love that development and did not see it coming. There was also some clever writing throughout this arc that suggested the Nihil were about to show up and make a mess for Kiev and her crew, but then it turns out to be the Hutts. I love that development too. Let's see what these other Outer Rim factions are up to and how they're benefiting from the chaos of the Great Disaster. I am really psyched to see where this goes next month. I also continued to appreciate the High Republic Adventures and its third issue. I do think this is the first of the series where I really felt that, yeah, okay, this is for a younger audience, but the previous 2 issues pulled me in so well that I am fully on board with this tone. Little fun things like having Master Buck just chowing down on pastries during several frames of a serious conversation. But also, this is a story about kids, and it's fun to see Padawans and younglings acting like kids. It's also cool to see the contrast of 2 children who have been swept away from their home. The Jedi are kind, and they ask Zine for help in their mission. They take her wants and needs into consideration. Meanwhile, the Nihil have Crix, and they manipulate and coerce him while pretending to be on his side. It's good to show kids the differences between good and bad friends, and I think Daniel Jose Older is doing a great job of imparting lessons through Star Wars without beating anyone over the head with his points. Moving out of the High Republic era, Darth Vader 11, I think, finished up the arc about Exegol, and it was fine. I've been enjoying this arc and the teases, but once we got there, I don't know, I was expecting more answers. I guess it's nice to know Palpatine has been working on Snoke and the Final Order fleet for this long. We learn that there's a massive bled Kyber crystal under Exegol's surface, and that's cool. Seeing Luke's hand was a fun nod to the original Thrawn trilogy. This feels like a story we've heard about him for at least the 3rd time, and I do think that's on purpose because the comic straight up calls out that fact. Palpatine keeps threatening to replace Vader when he starts to go soft, and then Vader has to reaffirm his allegiance to the dark side. So I'm hoping Greg Pak dives into where Vader's head is at in the next issue or so, because I didn't feel any sort of closure or change for Vader, and right now it just seemed like we went to Exegol because it would be intriguing, and not because it would affect Vader in any real way. Hopping over to Dr. Aphra issue 9, Aphra and Sana survive the attack against them in the last issue, obviously, and then make their way to the supposed Nihil path engine they've been hunting. They realize it's a fake, but then the Unbroken clan arrive to attempt to steal it. And that's kind of it. I've been enjoying this arc and its connections with not only the High Republic but also the Bounty Hunters comic, but this issue specifically felt a bit slow and not as chaotically fun as I'm used to Aphra being. And finally, we have Bounty Hunters issue 11. And again, I thought this one was just It's about Bosk being hunted, but of course he spins it around on the hunters and takes them out, which is a fine and cool story to tell, but it stops the overall story Bounty Hunters has been telling in its tracks. And I think I know why. Issue 10 very clearly sets things up for the main character, Valance, to join the War of the Bounty Hunters, which is about to start up. Vader issue 12 and Aphra issue 10 both tease that they will be preludes for War of the Bounty Hunters as well. So it felt like Bounty Hunters just had to kind of tread water for a month, waiting for the other series to catch up. I kind of feel like I was pretty down on most of the April stories, so I'm giving Story of the Month to The High Republic issue 4. It surprised and excited me the most. Fortunately, May looks like it's going to be great. We'll have May 4th, which is always fun. And by the way, I'm releasing my complete Canon timeline video on May 3rd this year because we'll be extensively covering the Bad Batch premiere on May 4th, along with any other news that comes out. And then we're getting 4 more episodes of the show in May, and War of the Bounty Hunter starts on May 5th. So a lot of Star Wars to look forward to in the coming weeks and months. But that's it for April. The Canon update will return on June 1st to cover all those new stories. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.